Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our Discord server where we post multiple updates a day. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video. So Cardano is still going up. I first actually want to talk about Bitcoin because what Bitcoin is doing right now is actually very important. Well, actually, let me start with Bitcoin dominance. I know everyone here likes Bitcoin dominance, so I'm going to talk about this first. So as you can see, we are going up right now. However, if you look at the RSI went from being oversold to right now almost being overbought. We are not overbought yet, but as you can see, the 4-hour RSI went crazy and the Bitcoin dominance chart barely went up. I mean, we went up like what, not even 1%, and we went up quite a lot on the RSI. We went from like 30, almost 29 to about 61, and Bitcoin dominance barely did anything. So I think this is a good sign, and I think that once we get to the overbought territory, we will get rejected by the bull market support band, and that will be it. I think we should get an altcoin season after that, and it would go perfectly well with the fact that it has been almost 48 days since the cross on the bull market support band. And as you know from my previous videos, if you watched them, in the previous two cycles, it took about 48 days for something to happen after we had a cross on the bull market support band. For example, here, it took 48 days of just sideways price action for something to happen. But after 48 days, we started the altcoin season, and yeah, this was obviously extremely bullish. And in 2016, we did the exact same thing again. Although here, we actually did what we did in 2024. We were below the bull market support band for some time, and then all of a sudden we started going up after we had a cross on the bull market support band, and we went up for about 48 days, and 48 days later we started going down, and that triggered the first altcoin season ever. So yeah, I think it will start happening again very soon, and I would not be surprised if it happened by, let's say, January 11th or so. It could just extend a couple of days. It doesn't have to copy exactly what it did in the previous cycle. Maybe in this cycle it's going to take 58 days, but I'm not expecting this to take too long, and honestly, I would not be surprised if we just went sideways until January 20th, until the next president gets put into the office, and then we start going down. Now, of course, we don't have to do that. Like I said, 48 days is enough, and I think that will be in like 4 days, so watch out for that. And also, we are currently at the moving average on the daily RSI, so if we get rejected by this, then I think it's over for Bitcoin dominance, and I think we finally start the altcoin season. Now, I also want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently going up. It's currently at about $100,000, which is very good. Like I did tell you many times, Bitcoin will most likely continue to go up for the rest of 2025, and my prediction is still $255,000 by the end of this year, probably by the end of November. We never really topped in December, so yeah, I think this top will also be in November, maybe even earlier, maybe in like October or September, considering the fact that I believe in this cycle the halving happened like 2 months earlier, so maybe we are going to top in like September, but I'm still expecting Bitcoin to be at 255,000 by then, so we should be good. Now, I also want to talk about what's happening on the short-term chart, so let's go on the 4-hour chart. As you can see, we are currently overbought on the 4-hour chart, which is not really great. However, if we do get some kind of correction on the Bitcoin chart right now, it would not be the end of the world, and I think that once we get this correction, once we get some kind of ABC structure, and by the way, we don't have to do that, but if we get some kind of ABC structure for the fourth wave move to the downside right here, I don't think the altcoin market will care about it. I think it will just continue going up, and this has happened multiple times throughout the previous cycles. I don't know if I can show you an example right now. Let me find one actually. Well, yeah, we have one right here, for example. So after Bitcoin went up from about, let's say, $3,000, almost $4,000 at this low right here, to about $40,000 in a matter of a year or so, it actually got a correction down here, and we went from $42,000 all the way down to like $29,000. And if you look at what Cardano was doing during that time, let's say between January 9th and January 28th or so, if you look at the Cardano chart, as you can see right here, Cardano was actually going up during that time, so yeah, if Bitcoin goes down and Bitcoin dominance goes down with it, the altcoin market will most likely not be affected by it, which is very good because if Bitcoin wants a correction right now, if it wants to test the bull market support band for some reason, which by the way is exactly at the 0.382 extension of the third wave right here and would be a good target for a fourth wave move down, if we want to test this level and then we bounce, then the altcoins will most likely not be affected by this. Now I also want to look at Ethereum, and I actually want to look at the Ethereum monthly returns chart because this chart is obviously very interesting. So we are already up 10% on the monthly chart, which is not surprising considering the fact that we did the exact same thing in the previous halving years as well. So I did tell you many times that this will most likely happen, and what do you know, it's already happening. Now we are only up 10% and I believe this will continue to go up until the end of the month, and then in February and March and April and May and June as well, because that's what we did in the previous halving years. For example, in 2017, we went up about 32% in January, then another 48% in February. I mean, if you look at this chart, we went up quite a lot in the first half of the year, and if you look at 2021, which was also a post-halving year, we also went up quite a lot in the first 4 months of the year. So I think we're about to copy what we did here, and you know, this works perfectly well with the fact that Bitcoin dominance is expected to drop very soon, and when Bitcoin dominance drops, that's when Ethereum goes up. For example, here in November of 2024, when Bitcoin dominance went down, Ethereum actually went up 47%. During this time, I believe Bitcoin dominance dropped about 6%. Now imagine what will happen once Bitcoin dominance drops from about, let's say, 58% right now to about 40% in the next altcoin season. Ethereum will just go insane, and if Ethereum goes insane, then the altcoin market also goes insane. If you look at the monthly returns chart, for example, in November of 2024, Ethereum went up about 47%. During that time, Cardano went up about 300%. Now imagine what happens when Ethereum starts going up like 78% in a month. Cardano will just start going crazy. That's what always happens. Also, if you look at the Bitcoin monthly returns chart, Bitcoin is also up right now, which is not surprising because if you look at the previous halving years, for example 2021, here we also went up. We did not go up in 2017, but you know, this was a red wick, but it was only 0.04%, so was this really a red wick? And 2013 was also a good year. Here we actually went up 44%, so maybe we are copying what we did in 2013. I cannot confirm that yet, obviously. I don't know if we are doing that or not. It all depends on what Bitcoin will do in the next couple of weeks, so we'll see if we copy this. If we are copying 2013, then things could look very bullish for Bitcoin. However, we still have no reason to believe that we are doing that, at least not right now, so we'll see what happens with this. Now I also want to go back to the Cardano chart just to give you another price update in case you did not watch my previous ones. So Cardano is still going up. It's expected to get to about $1.30 in a third wave very soon. This is the third wave of this 1-2 setup, which held the support levels. As you can see, we got to the 0.618 extension, which is the golden ratio level of the first wave right here. We reacted to it multiple times. Of course, this is not really the best looking ABC structure, but you know, it is an ABC structure, and also the first wave right here only went up in 3 waves, which is also fine, but like I did tell you multiple times, the third wave has to get to $1.30 if we want to start getting bullish. If we get rejected right here at the 1.618 extension, then things will not really be bullish, and this could actually turn into a much bigger WXY structure, and I don't really want to see that right now. It would not really make sense for that to happen under these circumstances, so I'm not expecting that to happen, but if it does happen, we should stay above the bull market support band, so keep that in mind. But like I said, I don't think it will happen because it did not happen in the previous cycle, and as you know, we are pretty much just copying what we did in 2020 and 2021. For example, right here, down here, we had a 1-2 setup on the chart. We went up in a first wave of the third wave in November, then the second wave moved down, was just sideways price action for the entire month of December. December, just like in this cycle, and then in January we started going up again, just like we are doing in this cycle as well. So I think it's only a matter of time until we get to new all-time highs. As you can see in the previous cycle, it took about, let's say, 2 months to get to new all-time highs after we completed the first wave of the third wave. So it took about, let's say, well, actually 3 months for the third wave of the third wave to be completed. So once this starts, it will not stop. And trust me, a lot of people will buy the top again, and then when Cardano goes down, they will blame Cardano instead of, blaming themselves for just FOMOing in. The best time to buy was obviously down here. If you bought down here, then congratulations, and I'm obviously congratulating myself here. Of course I bought down here. I mean, I gave you a support zone for a reason. The support zone was respected multiple times, so I did tell you multiple times throughout my previous videos that Cardano will most likely get a third wave very, very soon, because it only made sense for that to happen. Now, of course, it took a couple of months for that to happen, but it happened, and yeah, right now we are working on the third wave, which, like I said, could put us above the previous all-time highs if we are copying what we did in 2020. And so far, like I did tell you, we are copying what we did in 2020 and 2021, but that does not mean that things cannot change, and maybe this cycle is different. But even if it is, the minimum target for the third wave right here is the 200% extension of the 1-2 setup, and that is at $2.98. Even if we get rejected here and then we get a fourth wave move down, the fifth wave move up should still put us at about $5. So even in the worst case scenario, I think Cardano is still gonna do quite well on the cycle. Now, of course, if we don't get a left translated peak, and if you don't know what that is, maybe Google it, because I think it's easier to understand that way. Also, if you look at the Cardano RSI, the daily RSI, we are no longer overbought. We actually managed to cool off when we got the second wave move down, and also the second wave move down has an ABC structure, so it should be in. And yeah, I'm not expecting another low anytime soon. We also got above the moving average on the daily RSI, so yeah, I don't think getting another low is very likely right now. It's obviously not out of the question, but it's not really likely to happen in my opinion, at least not under these circumstances. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our Discord server where we post multiple updates a day. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.